partisan politics. That's what's happening right now at the Oregon legislature, and especially with the Democrat Party really in control, in spite of the fact that we have a new governor, and some people were hoping that there might be a bit of a change, a little more cooperation. Well, People, Places, and Politics. Welcome to this edition of People, Places, and Politics. I'm Patty Milne, your host, and I'm really pleased to have as a special guest today Richard Burke, who is the executive, do I have it correct, people's titles, executive director of the Western Liberty Network. And what I'm hoping that Richard will talk a little bit about today is, while we're in the midst of all this political, partisan battle, there are many people like Richard who is very involved in nonpartisan and really focusing on teaching, training, educating people in that so essential grassroots aspect of what's happening in government. And I know limited government is kind of a key word for you, Richard. And let me give people, before we have our discussion here, a little background. Richard is the executive director, as I said, of Western Liberty Network. He is the grassroots director, or was, for the Oregon Americans for Prosperity for 3 years, building a network of 31 local chapters. Western Liberty Network is a 501c3 educational organization offering training activities at the grassroots level on how to successfully engage in the democratic process. And Richard knows this himself because he is an elected official in a nonpartisan capacity, commissioner and current president, board president?
Right. That's right, of the Tualatin Valley Water District.
Yeah, so Richard knows, he understands how government works as an elected official. You've also worked in the House and Senate, at the legislature as an aide. You've managed campaigns at every level and very, very actively involved. That's why we've known each other for a long time. You have also been a talk show host, and you regularly fill in and help out, I understand. So we're going to have a great discussion. Give us a little background on the Western Liberty Network, and some of these you just had a conference and you have another conference coming up.
We do. Now, the Western Liberty Network deals with grassroots activists. There are a lot of folks out there who want to be involved in their government, but they're afraid. They might be small business people, they might be landowners, they might be farmers, and they feel that they're being overtaken by a system they can't understand, by a system they don't know how to grapple with. And this incites fear, and when people are afraid, they do things that may not be in their best interest or may not be in the community's interest.
True.
So what Western Liberty Network tries to do is give them tools to teach them how to constructively engage with the system and to move things in their direction. There are over 7,000 local, nonpartisan elected offices in Oregon, and almost as many appointed offices, like budget committees and so on and so forth. So what Western Liberty Network tries to do is encourage these activisms to take charge of their government where they live by running for local offices that are not very expensive to run for. They learn how to be office holders. If they don't want to be office holders, they can learn how to manage campaigns. If they don't want to manage campaigns, they can learn how to be constructive volunteers. And the idea is you create pools of talent that can reweave the fabric of Oregon's political culture over time, maybe build a farm team for people who promote limited government values, but also teach people how to effectively engage with the system. So instead of reacting out of fear, they know how to get active, they know how to get their elected officials to do what they want, or if they won't do what they want, how to get themselves elected as well. I am a big believer in being on the offense, not the defense. And of course, Western Liberty Network is nonpartisan, 501c3. We teach people how to do things. We don't endorse candidates, we don't endorse legislation or ballot measures, but we do give people the tools they need to constructively engage.
So let's just jump, I would say, at the end of the program. Now, Richard, tell us how people can get in touch with you and blah, 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 blah. But let me jump right to, so how can people learn, okay, how do I get in touch with this guy? You've been so dynamic right here the first couple of minutes. How can people get in touch with you? How can they start to get involved in now that they know there's an organization that will help?
Well, apart from a flare gun outside my apartment window, you know, they can reach me by going to our website, which is very easy to remember. It's www.westernlibertynetwork.org. That's westernlibertynetwork.org. And from that homepage, they can find out about our upcoming youth conference that we hold. There's a page that says training, where we have companion documents people can download that go with our live training. Each companion document relates to a different skill: how to lobby an office holder, how to testify in front of a committee, how to write a strong letter to the editor. Just a whole toolbox of how-tos. There's a list of all of our affiliates on the affiliates tab. It's a very informative website that will tell you everything about Western Liberty Network, how to get involved, and how to participate in the upcoming youth conference.
So it might be helpful to the audience. Talk a little bit about the conference you just had.
Sure.
And what happened there? What were some of the classes, seminars?
Sure.
What did people learn?
Well, we hold 2 conferences each year. The one you're referring to is our annual January Leadership Conference. We hold it the Saturday of Pro Bowl weekend every year. We don't want to fight with the Super Bowl, right?
But the Pro Bowl is different.
That's right. And we always have 4 tracks of instructions and 20 breakouts, and they can decide if they want to take training on how to build their local grassroots organizations, how to be stronger activists, how to get elected to public office, you know, how to manage campaigns, how to function once you actually do get elected to office. There are all of these skills, and you can mix and match from each of the different tracks throughout the day. There are 5 breakouts, and in between we have working panel discussions and Q&A, and the one in January is largely intended to be an activist convention, so people can hone their skills. It's also a leadership conference, so the leaders of Western Liberty Network's 22 affiliates can get together, share ideas, and improve their organizations with skills that they can bring back home to their local groups. So that's what we did this June. Now, in May, we have an annual youth conference. This is designed for young people.
What age groups are we, or age group?
We're not discriminatory about it, because we've seen some very gifted 13-year-olds, but most of the kids are college kids, a few high school kids, and a couple of prodigies that are a little bit younger than that. And again, we have tracks of instructions, but they're a little bit different. What we train young people to do is to forego things like student government. Who cares what the theme of your next homecoming dance is going to be, right? Instead, if you're old enough, get on a budget committee, get on a planning board. There are thousands of appointed offices and even elected offices for which nobody has run. Kyle Knight, who went through my training program, got elected to the Baker City School Board at age 18. And he exposed a lot of corruption there.
Oh, good for him.
That the newspaper picked up on. He came under incredible attack,
I bet.
you know, and he had to find a lawyer.
He was currently a student.
Well, he was a high school graduate.
Oh, he had graduated.
He had graduated.
Well, thank goodness for that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, what we do is we teach young people first that they can be effective. A lot of them, what can I do? What can we show? You can be in office now. You can be an office holder now. I can? How? How do I do that? And we teach them how to do that. And they leave with a sense of empowerment. The second track of instruction we have is for folks our age who maybe run grassroots organizations, and we teach them how to attract youth involvement, how to involve youth in their leadership, how to have events that they actually want to attend. You know, conservatives in particular are awful at attracting youth. You know, I always like to joke, the left is very good at it. They'll rent an art gallery, they'll put up lights, they'll put out pizza and soda pop. It'll be on a Wednesday night. It'll be fun. They'll listen to music, do 20 minutes of work, and they all want to come back. Right? Conservatives tend to want to hold a constitutional history class at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, you know, at church somewhere, and they don't want to go. You know, so we teach these groups how to attract youth involvement. And then the third track is just for activists of all ages. Again, a how-to. Now, many of these classes in the youth conference are actually taught by students themselves, people who have been involved with the training, that know how to do the training, and a lot of the panel discussions are feature youth too. Our annual theme for the youth conference is passing the torch. But one of the panel discussions we're going to have is going to be made up of young people, and it's going to be themed taking the torch.
Oh,
they're not going to wait for us to pass it to them. They're going to take it. That's right. That's right. So that's what we have coming up. The information about that is on the website, on the homepage. People can sign up to participate. It's $50 for the whole day and includes 2 meals, hot breakfast and lunch.
And it'll be where again?
It's going to be at the Valley River Inn in Eugene. That's all there too. And if you can't go, or if you want to support it, there's a sponsorship link. You can click on that and buy a series of sponsorships. And you can also download the agenda. The agenda's still in draft mode, but you can download it, and it will be updated from time to time.
Good. So you mentioned one young person who went on to do very important work. Do you have some other stories you could share about young people who?
Oh, lots of them. You bet.
Well, pick a 1 or 2 good ones.
Well,
just so people get a flavor of what.
There's a young man named Nick Hazelton who actually saw last week, who's a 16-year-old. He came to our youth conference last year, and he is just a prodigy. He cannot wait to get involved. He's not old enough to vote yet, and he wants to get in, and he's very smart. And he's picked up a lot of different things. People like, well, I don't know if they want me to mention their names or not, but
another young man or young woman.
Yeah, a very active young woman at the University of Oregon who has taken our training, and she's worked on a number of federal campaigns now competently, and she now knows she could run a campaign right now if she wanted to do that. And another one at Oregon State, she has had the confidence to not only take our training and to teach our classes, but she has had the confidence to stand up against a lot of pressure when she was pushed to do something that she felt she had a conflict of interest on.
Good for her.
You know, it's really fantastic. We've had a lot of people run for office, and we know this model works. In 2013, the last time there were local nonpartisan elections across Oregon, Western Liberty Network trained 98 candidates.
Wow.
Of those, 78 won election.
That's a very success rate that is admirable.
Yeah, we train them to look for races where nobody's running, and about a third to a half of them won without opposition. The other ones won with opposition, and a surprising number of them even defeated incumbents.
Wow.
Now, again, Western Liberty Network did not endorse, campaign, support, fund any of these things. We just offered training on how to be a candidate, how to run a campaign, how to work for campaigns, and anyone can take the training. If you're a Green, if you're a union public employee, you can come to our events, but they've already got their own infrastructure.
Yes, they do.
So they don't need to bother with us.
Very strong infrastructures too.
That's right. But it's all about building the farm team. And I think with limited government activists, we need to put out a special effort. People on the left see government as a force for good. They like it. For some of them, it's fun. For some of them, it's their social network. You know, they believe that it is a force of good. People who support limited government generally see government as a nuisance. You know, they see doing a term on a board or committee is like doing a stint in the army. You know, they want to deal with their families and life. They're not. So we have to make a special effort to have our ideas there, because if we, by we I mean limited government activists, do not engage the system, then the left wins all the local elections.
Right. And then they have their farm team ready to go to move up.
That's right.
To higher office, which is, yes.
And think about it, because if the left holds all the positions, then people who are in favor of limited government, they're always on the defensive. They're always testifying, say, please don't do this. They're writing letters to the editor saying, please don't do this. They're running ballot measures trying to reverse things. They're trying to take things to court. These are defensive measures. I tell them, or I'll tell anyone, whether you're from the left or right, if you want to define the political culture. You be the ones in office. Let the other ones be the ones who are on the defensive. But to do that, you have to engage. And that's what Western Liberty Network trains them to do.
So in talking about young people, I remember both as a county commissioner and other offices myself, we did have, there's been more of a trend over the last few years to get young people to sit on boards and commissions for that experience. But I'm not, I want to ask, the question is, to be a voting member, they have to be 18. Is that the way? Because my memory is we would get young people, high school students specifically, to sit on a board and a commission. They can engage in the conversation, but I'm thinking they weren't always able to vote because they had not been, well, for one, they had not been elected, which you're getting them to move to that being elected position. Can you talk a little bit about?
What I think you might be talking about are boards that have a couple of seats for students that get appointed. They're non-voting members.
Correct.
That's good experience, but that's not what Western Liberty Network encourages.
That's why I say you want to go to the next step, get them to actually become elected.
Yes.
But they do have to be 18.
No, they don't.
All right, that's what I wanted you to talk a little bit about for young people who might be listening.
I put an asterisk next to that because there are different offices with different qualifications, and it can vary from county to state because there are some offices like president, you have to be 35. Congress, you have to be 25. There could be some restrictions depending on office to office, but you do frequently hear about situations where I think in Michigan, some 13-year-old kid was elected to a city council and was perfectly able to vote. So it's I would say check with your local election office, but kids out there, run for the office or get appointed to the office. You know, don't wait for somebody to give you something. Take it. You're an American. You're entitled. You know, go for it.
Good. Good. That's what I wanted you to get to, is these young people, if there's, and there's so many. There are soil and water conservation boards, there's city council, there are planning commissions, there are park and rec boards, there are all kinds of things. So
and there are all so many important things to do. Like I'm on a water board. A lot of people say water board. Boy, that's exciting, right? But it's amazing what you can do with water if you're passionate about taxes. You know, we abolished all property taxes effective December of 2005. Okay, do you think property taxes should be used to fund a water thing? That's something you can fight about. The medicinal marijuana initiative.
Oh yeah.
Okay, remember when that passed? What do we do now in our hiring policies? If someone has cancer and a medicinal marijuana card, can we fire them? And our board was the first in America to say, if they have a medicinal marijuana card and for a legitimate medical reason, that we would not fire them. They would need to, they couldn't use it on the property. You know, there are restrictions.
They can't be under the influence.
They can't have a job where they have a commercial driver's license, and they're, you know, we treated it like any other prescription drug they might be prescribed. That we did on a water board. Right. Okay, eminent domain.
You have employees, you have legal issues, battles, and property rights play into that.
Yep, eminent domain battle. I mean, there are a lot of things, and the same is true for soil and water. Vector control, mosquito control board, you know, dog catcher. There is no unimportant office.
Right. Oh, good. So after whether it's young people or others attend your conferences, do you provide then like support services? If someone says, I need information on this was discussed at the conference, what kind of support?
Yes, well, there are a number of methods of support that we provide. The network in Western Liberty Network is we go to existing grassroots organizations. In our case, it's a lot of maybe Tea Party 912, these kind of groups, and we offer them a chance to affiliate with the network. And so we provide free training at their regularly scheduled meetings on the topic of their choice in exchange for them giving us access to their rank and file members to let them know about training opportunities, and also the group has to designate 2 people to come to the leadership conference and participate in quarterly conference calls.
That's a good trade-off.
And so that's a way they can just call us up and say, hey, we've got a meeting next month, can you come? And I'll be doing one on April 6th, or no, I'm sorry, April 14th at the Lane County 912 group on how to run a campaign on a shoestring budget.
Good.
And you know, people call us up from time to time. We have a growing list of resources on the internet. So this is going to be a clearinghouse of information for people who want to take charge of their communities.
Oh, that's fantastic. Just fantastic. And you've mentioned some of your affiliate organizations. I don't know if there's anyone else you want to, or maybe a little background on how Western Liberty Network came to be.
Okay, well.
A little history.
Sure. Well, we have
something flying around here.
It's okay. We have 18 affiliates in Oregon, 4 in Washington, and we have some state directors starting to organize in other states. It's my goal to make this a national organization. I came up with the idea to form Western Liberty Network back when I worked for Americans for Prosperity. Americans for Prosperity is a good organization. I learned a lot. I'm glad I worked for them, and I also worked with my good friend and yours, Jeff Krupp, you know, who was the state director at the time. But there were some, we set up a network of 32 organizations in the state, but there were restrictions. Each chapter was a subordinate organ of AFP. So they had to adhere to AFP policies. They couldn't endorse candidates. There were some issues AFP didn't want to talk about that they weren't allowed to talk about. It frustrated them a lot, and it frustrated us a lot. And if they went off the reservation, our tax-exempt status could be challenged, you see.
Yeah.
And so Western Liberty Network has a different model. There are no subordinate chapters. Each affiliate is an independent affiliate. They sign an agreement that says neither side has control over the other side. All we provide is training. How they apply it is up to them. And we have no control over their policies leaders. So if they endorse a candidate and the IRS comes after us, we can legitimately
say they did it on their own.
Say they did it on their own. Here's the legal agreement. We have no control over what they do. But we just provide the training. And just to make sure we don't go too close to the line, we absolutely never endorse a candidate, a bill, or a ballot measure. And that keeps us clean.
Do you discuss measures, though?
No.
No, just you're just training.
We're just training skills.
Okay, and I just want the audience to make that distinction.
Sometimes when you're talking to a group, you have a pretty good idea of how they're going to apply the skill.
Yeah.
But you teach it generically, and that's up to them. You know, if the Pacific Green Party wanted me to come and do a training on a topic, I would have to do it, and I would do it. But they don't need me to do it because they've got lots of resources on the left already. But Western Liberty Network is truly nonpartisan. I'm not a Republican myself. As you know, I'm actually a libertarian. But there are Republicans, independents, non-affiliateds. There are even a few Democrats in the groups that I speak to, and that sign up for our conferences. And they're all welcome.
And with CCTV being in Salem, is there an affiliate in Salem?
Not yet. Okay. There's not one but there are some good ones. There are some 912 groups in Salem that people can be a part of. That used to actually be an AFP chapter years ago. And so I'm looking forward to affiliating an organization in Salem. A few other places we're not in yet: Klamath Falls, Medford, Ontario. We've got most of the rest of the state covered pretty well, though.
And you're in the Portland metro area, so you can easily get to these outer areas.
My Hyundai is always gassed up and ready to go. I mean, I did so much traveling with AFP and Western Liberty Network that, you know, I can do a Portland, Ontario run standing on my head, so it's no big deal. All
right. Anything else you want to cover before we have to wrap up? Anything we didn't yet cover?
I want to remind people to go back to our website and maybe participate in the youth conference at westernlibertynetwork.org. But what I'd like to really encourage folks out there to do is take charge of your community. Even now, the filing deadline has passed for the local offices on March 19th. But in almost every county, there are offices for which nobody filed. And if you're interested in taking some responsibility,
talk about this a little bit. Yes. How can somebody What do you mean nobody filed? So what does this mean? What kind of an opportunity is this?
Well, there are elected offices for which nobody filed. In Washington County, there are 5. I'm sure there are more in Marion County. But what you do is go to the Marion County Elections Office, find out the offices for which nobody has filed, see if you are eligible to serve in any of those offices. And if you are, get 4 or 5 of your friends to write your name in for
On
that
the ballot,
position,
yes.
and you can get elected. And if you don't get elected, it's never too late to apply to an appointed position.
Right.
Budget committees for water boards, school boards, sewer boards, any kind of board. So if you want government to reflect your values, you can't sit by and expect that somebody else is going to do what you want. We are responsible for maintaining our republic, and that means we have to take personal responsibility. And we cannot take personal responsibility if we're not willing to serve or help somebody serve.
Oh, well said, well said. So what do you see in the future? You mentioned you would like to expand and have more affiliates. What else is on the horizon for Western Liberty Network?
Well, we're going to fill out Oregon, and then we're going to fill out Washington. Expand fundraising into other states so that we can hire full-time people to do what I do in Oregon right now. And those are the long-term visions. We've got people in Hawaii, Virginia, Washington State, California, and Idaho. And of course, they're doing some work now, but until you get someone making a living at it, they can't really put full time into it. So we need to start building that out. And of course, in the short run, we've got to do fundraising for this youth conference so that we don't have to charge kids a lot of money. It's $50. We got 2 meals to pay for, materials to pay for, hotels to pay for, and if we can get the sponsorships, then we'll be able to waive admission costs for these kids and give them the training they need to be successful.
How many young people are you expecting to attend?
Shooting for 100.
100.
We had about 60 last year, and before that we had about 60 people, but 30 of them were youth. So as more youth are becoming involved, word is getting around. Because we don't have a promotional budget. This is word of mouth through the community, but we're getting a good reputation. And last year we had enough young people so that they could actually teach some of the classes.
Good.
This time they're going to be the stars, and you're going to see results. It doesn't take more than a couple of election cycles. 78 people got elected. This time we're expecting to train about 300 people. We're expecting about half of them to get elected.
It's fantastic.
Okay, so over 2 election cycles, out of 3,600, offices up each time, we will have trained people who got elected who are, maybe 200. Wow. That's not a majority, but you're starting to change the fabric.
Yes.
You keep pumping it, you keep pumping it, and pretty soon you've made some real change.
So, Richard Burke, the Executive Director, Western Liberty Network. Go to their website and get these young people involved. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you'll come back.
Thank you very much. I had a great time.
Okay.